loves. Today I'm going to answer the questions that you guys have sent me in earlier. I'm always surprised that you actually find me interesting. The questions are a lot, but I have narrowed down to the ones that I thought was interesting. I'm going to jump right in. How do you maintain your ethical ideals while still being in demand in the world? This was sent by Sada. Sada, I didn't know I was in demand. I thought I was just existing. But anyways, demand in the world. Do you mean like, how are you still booked? How do you do jobs while maintaining your ethical ideals? I don't know. I'm just going to answer the question because I wasn't aware that I was in demand. I thought I was just booked. Yeah. I think it just, for me, I've had a long life and I've had a long career, not just in fashion, but I used to do other things before fashion. And I think it's important to know who you are and to know your boundaries, your goals, and your morals. Me, I'm a practicing Muslim, so the majority of my values are already in my religion. And the way that I stick to it is simply because I don't want to burn in hell. I don't know how else to say this. I'm very practical of me. For me, it's, even if I don't want to be a nice person, I just have to be nice because I want to get to heaven. And that's the way I was raised, like if you're going to be a good Muslim, you have to do certain things and you have to behave a certain way in order to get, eternal reward. And that's just how I see it. I don't think much more else to it, I believe. Ethical values, for instance, like if I could choose between keeping my values or making a lot of money, certain things I won't do because it's against my values, right? No matter how fat the check is, I'm still not going to do it because it's against what I believe in. At those times, it's not like I do it with such a positivity and I'm loving it. It hurts. Everyone wants money, but you have to say no in order to live with yourself, right? You don't want to be a very phony person. I do like to have an authentic life, being true to myself. That means that sometimes you have to sacrifice money or you have to sacrifice friendship or relationships that are not good for you in order for you to be living in your true being. And the reward is, I don't even know if it's worth it sometimes. Honestly, I think a lot of times when people talk about, being a good person or whatever, they always act like it's such a holy and spiritual and beautiful. No, sometimes it sucks. Everyone just wants to have an easy life, right? You see people who are doing less moral things and they are, lying horizontal on a beach. Yeah, of course I want to do that. Why do I have to work hard and be nice? Of course, sometimes you don't want to do it. But you have to think in the long run, right? You have to think that, well, first of all, I'm a religious person, so I get paradise. Or I want to be able to live with myself. If I do a certain things, it's going to eat me alive. Like consciously, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And I think that's the only reason why I'm a good person, is because I like to sleep. I cannot toss and turn knowing that I did something. You know what I mean? And it's not only in the goodness. So for instance, like when I was growing up, I had a lot of attitude. Some people say I still do, but don't believe them. When I was young, I struggled with attitude. So for instance, if I had an opinion, I didn't know why I shouldn't just say them, right? Or if I don't like someone, why do I have to say hi? Things like this. And my parents are quite religious. So my mother would take me to the masjid, the mosque, and she would force me to say hi to every auntie. And some aunties, I don't like them because they talk bad about me, like they spread rumors. Or I just don't like their daughters or their kids. I had issues with them. But my mother would force me to say hi to everyone. So what I would do, I would say hi to the only ones that I liked. So I would jump over someone. Other people, I would just give them dirty looks. And I was not allowed to do that. So my mother would, when we get home, she would have at it, tell me you can't treat people this way. It's not nice. You have to say hi to everyone. It's very rude to not say hi to someone. But in my mind as a child, I thought, it's very valid. Like if I don't like you, why do I have to say hi to you? So it's things like this, I was raised right. That's what I'm trying to say. So I think, you bring these things of, okay, even if I don't want to have this boring conversation, I find this person to be extremely dreadful. Oh, how insufferable. I try not to say anything. I may have a facial expression that says, because my facial expression I still have not mastered, right? If I'm annoyed, Oh my gosh, my eyes, they go all over the place. I'm so childish. I try to work in it. I really do. Sometimes I look on my phone or, I play with my rings. I look down on my nails. I do these kinds of things. I'm just trying to avoid hell. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I answered. I think, I know I'm not perfect. So we try, honey, we try. We do the best we can, and God is merciful. So this one is hilarious. Someone said, how do you not get cancelled for speaking your mind? I don't know. I feel like I have been cancelled quite a few times. But see, the thing is, we live in a capitalist world. So as long as I make money, as long as I make people money, girl, I'm not going anywhere. We're not going to sit and act like the only reason why I'm not canceled is because people are nice and people enjoy me or people... No, honey. When clients book me, they get money. That's why I'm here. So as long as you people, my dear followers, as long as you appreciate my opinion and my style and you buy the things I tell you to buy, I'm here forever, right? That's just what it is. I mean, I can make a whole speech about how I'm, no, some people see me for who I am, I'm well-liked. I don't think any of that matters. I think what matters is how much money you bring them. And as long as the machine is cashing in, I have a seat at the table. Honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why the West haven't canceled me no matter what I've said. And the other reason I truly believe is that I have a strong belief in destiny. I believe that whatever is destined for me, I will receive it, right? So I can say whatever I want on my social media or wherever else I choose to speak up. And I know that whatever God has granted for me, I will get it. I don't need to act as... I don't need to please the masters, so to speak, just so that I can get whatever that I want, right? If God has written for me, I'm going to book a certain job, I'm going to get those jobs. So all I have to do is make sure that I stay a good person. Other than that, I can say whatever I want, especially politically. Like, I'm not going to not voice my opinion on a political issue or a current event just because, the client disagrees with me. It has nothing to do with it, right? And I also believe that I'm not for everyone and everyone is not for me. Like, I don't like every person on earth. So I don't expect everyone to like me either. If someone doesn't like me, I highly appreciate it. Usually when someone doesn't like you, they leave you alone, which is a huge bonus. So if a client doesn't like me, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? It's not like someone is killing you, right? They're not going to shoot you. They just don't book you, or they just talk badly about you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We all talk bad about people we don't like. I'm glad I could just provide the entertainment for them, right? And most people have extremely, if they're not talking bad about me, I'm sure their dinners would be very boring, right? I am honor of guest on a lot of dinner tables. No, honestly, I think I just don't take it that seriously. It's more important to be able to live with yourself, right? Because I used to work at an elderly care when I was 19. And my biggest fear is becoming old and regretting the things that I did not do, right? My biggest fear is, having a long career and my career being because I kissed someone's ass, right? Or that I didn't act, or that I acted a certain way. I portrayed myself, something that I'm not, just so that I could get booked. How empty and pathetic is that? Because what I'm saying is I'm not hurting anyone. Like, I'm not physically hurting someone. So if I say, oh, that collection is horrible, or this political person, I disagree with this or that, that's just life. We all have opinions. We all live our life differently. So for me, I think it's very important that when I'm 80 years old, I want to look back at my life and think, oh my gosh, how interesting and beautiful life did I lead? Because if you don't, it's going to eat you up. I don't want to be on deathbed and regretting stuff. I don't regret anything. I hope that clarified it. But also, if you're someone who enjoys being liked and you want to come into a room, and the important thing for you is to keep your image. I don't keep an image. I don't feel like I have an image I have to keep. Every day I wake up, I can just exist because that's what I am. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. It's up to them. Life is just so much easier if you don't have to deal with all that. And also, if you don't mind being broke sometimes, I think I mean, I lose some fat checks because of my big mouth. Oh my God. Right? Do you know how many houses I could have? Lord, thank God I look fabulous being broke. If not, I would do what the influencers are doing. When they say jump, I'd be like, how high, honey? How high? Ounces or meters? Is it even ounces? What is it? How do the Americans say? I don't know. I don't know why I thought that was important. All right, let's move on. What is your background? If you mean my background as in my heritage, I am Somali. I was born in Somalia. And I came to Norway when I was 9 years old. So I did the whole the war refugee journey. That was quite fabulous. I recommend it highly. No, I don't. So I've lived in Norway ever since then. So I spent the majority of my time in Norway, and I speak Norwegian. If you want to know my background as in education and what I've done, I have a degree in behavioral analysis and mental health. So I went to university for that, and I worked with... A lot of the times in like elderly care or people on the spectrum with different mental illnesses. So if you have a mental illness, I can tell. Yeah, honestly, like every time my friend thinks there's something wrong with them, they always come to me for diagnosis. Like, honey, I might be able to tell you have ADHD or autism. So whenever someone tells me about the mental diagnosis, I just agree, whatever they say. Do you think I'm bipolar? For sure, honey, for sure. Whatever you think you have, you got it. I mean, I'm not going to do clinical analysis on you. But yeah, that is my background. I do look very Somali, by the way, so rarely do people ask me about my background. I feel like I look Somali, I sound Somali, everything about me is so Somali. No one ever needs to know. Advice on how to get better self-esteem. This is a bit similar. I think I was... No, it wasn't. Advice on how to get better self-esteem. It's easy if you already like yourself, but that might be the hardest part. Let's see. I've always enjoyed myself. That sounds very disgusting. I don't mean it that way. I just mean I've always liked myself in a sense of, now this is not about me. Wait, no. Advice on how to get better self-esteem. Right. The next question is advice on how to get better self-esteem. If you remove other people's opinion of yourself, you're going to get better self-esteem. Because the majority of the people, the reason they struggle with this is because they put people on a pedestal. You think everyone is better than you. That's why their opinion matters. But if you remove them from the equation, you're going to be more free. I believe that's the true freedom, when you can just exist as who you are, not having to worry about what X, Y, and Z thinks of you, right? And at the end of the day, we're all human. Everyone is equal. So the person you're worried about, you need to think of them as just another human being. And if it helps, you can think of them as someone, just imagine they have a diarrhea. You're going to care about what someone thinks of you when they having a diarrhea? No, you're going to look down on them. You have to pick things like that. Or if you have someone, if you care about people's looks, you can think like, oh my gosh, he's wearing a horrible sweater. Who cares what he thinks of me? Look at his sweater. I mean, obviously I'm better. You need those little things to start with. And then eventually you're going to remove people from the equation and only worry about yourself, right? So if you like yourself, you're going to feel better about yourself. I don't know if that made sense, but that makes sense for me. Just stop thinking everyone is better than you. They're not. The majority of people are full of shit, honestly. Like, everyone is the same crap. It doesn't matter. That's why, when some people are so obsessed with celebrities, I never really understand it. They're just human beings. Some of them are actually worse than human beings. Like, they're not... I find the normal people to be more interesting than celebrities. So when they're like, oh my gosh, have you met? She's my idol. But why, though? No. They're not interesting. And the reason why I don't think they are not interesting is that's another subject. But I find it so bizarre when people put other people on a pedestal. Like, sometimes it makes me wonder what went wrong in your childhood to think that other people are better than you, right? That's another psychology lesson. But no, honestly, I think if you remove thinking about others, you're going to be fine. It's not that deep. Honestly, it's not that deep. All right. Let's see. Did you grow up wanting to be a model? God, no. I'm I'm so surprised. Do people think I was privileged? No, I grew up poor. I grew up in a refugee camp or asylum camp. When I came to Norway, I wanted to be something useful. Like, what? Have you ever met someone in a refugee camp saying, oh, I want to be a model? No, everyone wants to be a teacher, a doctor, health worker, anything to provide for the community they live in. So no, I did not want to. I didn't grow up wanting to be a model. I don't think I even cared about modeling or fashion. I knew I've always been stylish. I've always been, I care about the way I look, and I always wanted to have a certain way. So like when we were in Somalia, I'm always conflicted because when I think of Somalia, I think of the actual Somalia, but I was never there. I was in the refugee camp. It's a different kind of Somalia. So, when my father talks about Somalia or when my mother talks about Somalia, it's the actual Somalia, right? So anyways, when I was there, we would go to the tailors and get Eid dresses. I was always very specific on the Eid clothes that I would get because I cared about the way I looked. The majority of kids, they did not do that. And I remember we had, the water, there wasn't a lot of water sometimes. So the little we had, we would spend it on drinking or cooking, right? So if you were to get dirty, you can't just take a shower because there's not enough water. And we live, sometimes it's desert. So the clothing would get dust, filled with dust. So I always wanted to shower. No, I always wanted to wash my clothing because I always thought just because I'm ugly doesn't mean, just because I'm poor doesn't mean I have to be ugly, right? Those two, like, why do I have to suffer twice? You know what I mean? So I would always, I was always such a bimbo, and the other kids would bully me like, oh, who does she think she is? She thinks she's so rich. No, I never thought I was rich. I just thought I was beautiful, Like, let's not, we're already struggling. We're not even sure if we're going to live till next month. If I have 1 month to live, I want to live looking good. So I've always cared about the way I look, but modeling, no. I never cared. Even when we came to Norway, I mean, of course, there were magazines, like my girlfriend would read magazines, but I think because they were so different from what I was, like I knew that I wasn't traditionally beautiful, right? I knew that because I'm Black and because I wear the hijab, the average person or, the European, I don't have the Eurocentric beauty. But that never bothered me, right? Because I wasn't so concerned with them either. So I didn't grow up reading the magazines because I didn't feel represented. I didn't feel like they were for me. I couldn't wear the clothing, and I was not interested in their stories because I thought it lacked everything that I was. So just because I wasn't appreciated, so I didn't appreciate them back. So I never really thought of fashion career growing up. But when I wanted to apply for a job, I did apply for a job at a fashion store, and I was told, I couldn't get the job because I wore the hijab, and the lady said, you're going to scare people off. That was after 9/11, when they thought all Muslims were terrorists. And I thought that was hilarious because me working there would actually be charity work because that shop was so horrible. It was horrific. I would be the best thing that ever happened to them. But she said, you're going to scare people off. So I didn't get the job because of it. And I have worked with that brand afterwards, after I came into fashion. So, life is great. But yeah, no, I definitely did not think I was going to be a model growing up. And also, the areas we always lived in, it was a very small town. And I've always been like, the only hijabi, or sometimes even the only Black girl. And the majority of the times the other kids, they would say, because my looks were so different from them, in Norwegian, it's like ugly neger, which is like ugly nigger. I understood the nigger part, but I didn't understand the ugly part. I'm like, this is a bit confusing because do you see what I see? Why are you lying? So it was just, I knew my beauty wasn't their beauty, and their beauty was not mine either. I mean, the first time I saw someone with blue eyes and blonde hair, I was scared to death. I thought they were ill. I truly did. I thought they were chronically something was wrong with them. I thought they were patients because they were so white. You know what I mean? So I think as a child, I kind of understood that, they see me as something weird and I see them as something weird, very strange. And the child mind is very innocent like that. So I was never hurt by them thinking I'm ugly because if I'm being honest, I thought they were ugly too. right? And then you grow up, and then, life is still fabulous. So I wonder how many times I say fabulous. I need to work on my vocabulary. Right. Oh, this is hilarious. Okay, so someone said, "What's it like dating you?" I feel like I should bring the men here so they can answer for you guys. What's it like dating you? I feel like dating me is a cultural experience. I don't know what's it like dating me. When I go on a date, I'm very, of course, I'm very basic, but I put a lot of effort in the way I look and the way, going on a date is very exciting. Um, the makeup I'm gonna have, my shoes. So that's why the majority of the time I don't like. So my ex-husband would do surprises. He loved surprises. I didn't, because I need to know what to wear. So one time I was wearing a hat because it was hat weather, and he was like, "Oh, let's meet after work." So I met him in the city center, and I was wearing a hat. And he said to me, "Why are you wearing a hat?" And I said, "Why aren't you wearing a hat? It's a hat weather." It's like, "No, because we're going hiking. You can't be in a hat." And I thought that was such a strange thing to do. So I actually went home, changed, and then we did whatever plan activity he had. I love how I made this about fashion and you asked about my dating life. I don't know what's dating me like. I don't know. One time I'll bring someone and then they can answer for you. But I think it's a beautiful experience for everyone involved, I would say. Okay. Are you married or are you single? Right now I'm single. I used to be married back in the days. Wonderful. That was also a great experience, but I don't recommend it. I think marriage is a bit like, been there, done that, moving on. I don't know. I've been divorced for a few years now. I feel like everything is fine with me. I enjoyed being married. I enjoyed being divorced, and I enjoy being single. As long as I get to be Rawdah, I think I'm fine. I don't have any preference, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm single. I have been engaged a few times too, because men propose, and I always say yeah because the mood is nice. But yeah, but I also always give back the ring. I think that's very important. That's another question, because my friend, what he said to me? He said, "Oh, if you kept all the rings, you could have a house." But yeah, no. Right now, I'm single. How do you keep up with fame? These questions are so funny because I think it's very telling of how you guys view me, because I don't think I'm famous. I don't see myself as a famous person. So how do I keep up with fame? I don't, if I'm being honest. I just exist. I wake up and I do what I need to do and I move on with my life. I don't know how would one keep up with fame. No one bothers me when I'm going to the street. Maybe some people are like, "Hey, I like you and what you do." I mean, that's cute. And we stop and we talk about fashion because a lot of them love fashion. But that's it. I don't keep up with being famous. I don't think I don't want to become famous. I'm sure I could have been. I do some things to not be famous, right? So like I don't take if I'm meeting someone famous, or like, I'm around famous people, I don't take photos with them and post, because that's going to make you more famous, right? So if I were to take picture with every famous person I've met at events or work stuff, I would be more famous. But if you don't do it, you get to have your privacy, right? So you can go to these events, you can do your job, and the clients know who you are, and you're booked, and your rent is paid, and life is beautiful. And you can also walk on the street and have a normal life. Like, why would you? There's no upside in being famous. Anyone I've met who's famous don't enjoy it. So I don't think I would be any different. I think I would hate it. It's so bizarre. But for us, it's such a creepy thing. Whenever I see what they're doing, I lived in New York for a while and I saw what they were doing to people. I think I would be too aggressive for that. You think you can camp outside my house with a camera and not I would throw water on them. I would be up on the floor and throw shit at them, because it's so weird. It's weird. I would call my uncles, right? It's weird. You can't just follow people around. And then there's when kids involved, especially if people are photographing my child, I would catch a felony so fast. Like, you cannot do this. So I think because I'm avoiding jail, it's good for me to not be famous. It's crazy. Uh, mm, Oh my days. What do you think of sprinkle, sprinkle, and 50-50? Yo, okay, for people who are not chronically online, sprinkle, sprinkle is basically a woman who's teaching other women, how to hustle men, right? So you date a man and you take all his money and he's there to provide for you, and it's just like use him kind of mentality. And 50-50 is, I think, like when you split half and half. What do I think of it? I'm surprised that people don't just take that as an entertainment, right? Because when you're dating someone, shouldn't it be for love? Like, why are you at war? It feels like so you go on dates with guns blazing. To me, it's crazy. Like, if I'm dating someone, it's because I'm interested in them and I like them. Because if I'm spending time with you, it means because I like you, or else I can just be with myself because I love myself. I can spend the majority of my time being in solitude. So I don't understand, what do you get out of using someone? I don't know. To me, it doesn't. I feel like it's very. I'm quite a spiritual person, so I think what you do to others, you're gonna get it back, right? So you can't just use and abuse someone just because he's a man. I don't understand the fight between the genders. I think it's pathetic. So for me, someone being rude to me and still having access to me is extremely wild. I mean, the minute you misbehave or you start doing something that I don't approve of, you're not going to have access anymore. Don't you guys have a block button? Just block and move on with your life. No, honey, like, seriously, I think you need to have higher standards. And I have options. So if one guy is rude, there's always the next guy who's going to be nicer. I mean, the math doesn't math for me. It's crazy. So I don't know. I think I've only had like good experience with men. So I don't have this. I'm not on a fight or flight mode when I'm around someone I want to date, right? I don't know. Maybe it has to do with I don't date strangers. Usually, I date people that I know, or we have mutual friends, or you hear about the person, so he's a good person. He's a good, like a kind, and good values. So I'm not showing up to a serial killer. So I don't have this fight and flight mode. And I grew up with a lot of brothers. I have 6 brothers and probably 58 cousins. I never counted them, but there are a lot and they exist. So I think just around men is easy. You just tell them what to do and they usually do it. They're so easygoing, right? So because if someone were to tell me what to do, good luck. No, honestly, I don't know. I feel it's sad. It's sad that this gender fight is going on, because I think each of us have separately. I think we have great values, right? I don't want to be a man, and I just want to be the woman that I am, and he should be the man he is. And if there's something a man can do for me, I think he should do it. Why am I struggling? I'm not here to struggle. Honestly, that's what I think. If there's something wrong with my house, I'm not going to try and sort it out, right? Of course, I can YouTube it and struggle, but I don't live that life. I call my brothers and they sort it out, or I call my neighbor. I do everything to not do it myself. But no, I don't. I always just assume that, the sprinkle is social media entertainment. I haven't taken it seriously, right? Because I think some women, they are just gold diggers, and some men just want a traditional housewife, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. If a man wants someone to cook and clean and all that, he should get a woman like that. And if a woman wants a man to pay, they should get it. It has nothing to do with me. It doesn't affect me in any way, right? Because why are you dating a man you don't agree with? So if you know you're not a traditional wife, why are you going to date a man who wants a traditional wife? And then you argue, and then don't you have a jobs? People have no hobbies? I really don't get it. So I think it's just entertainment. I don't take it seriously. And 50-50, some people have money, some people don't have money, right? I don't get it. So if you're married I was married, and then 1 month my husband, the money wasn't coming in, I will pay. You love someone, I would do that for love. But that doesn't mean that I would be disrespected. It doesn't mean just because I pay the rent right now, you can have an attitude with me. Certain boundaries are never to be crossed. But life happens to all of us. I don't think you should throw out a marriage just because he couldn't pay the rent one time, or you have to split. I think that's the beauty of life. And also, I am Muslim, so we have the tradition of usually the man is the one who pays. But then again, I also, I sometimes consider myself a modern woman, so I make money. I have good money, so it doesn't hurt for me to. Why are people so stingy? I don't know. I never thought of myself as a romantic, but the fact that someone would choose these nonsense over love, it's incredibly disheartening, right? It really is. Like, that's what you're going to base your life off of, who pays this, who pays that. So you're literally at a date fighting over who's going to pay. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. If he doesn't, if the first date he pays, that's fine. But the second date, if you pay, and so what? So is someone going to die? I don't know. If you love money that much, why don't you have it? Just have money. Everyone should date people who have money. If you're like a man to pay for you, why are you dating someone who doesn't have that kind of money? And now you want to be upset, talking about, if he doesn't pay for me, I'm not going to be here. Or the men go around and say, what do women bring to the table? You actually date people who say these sentences? You're going to sit and talk with a man and he'll tell you, what do women bring at a table? I don't know. Ask your mom. What does she bring? What the hell? It's crazy. No. Well, you need to find respectful people. It's crazy. No. I feel sorry for you. I feel like I should start a program where I vet people. So you're going to date someone, you send me a list and I approve or disapprove. You have to set your standards higher. And I don't mean in the sense of in luxury. I just mean morally. Just be nice. Yeah. I don't know. I've dated rich men. I've dated broke men. We all had a great time. And the common denominator is me, all right? No, you have to be chill. A'udhu billah. No, calm down. That's it for today. Thank you guys for the questions. It's very, very interesting. As usual, I hope I didn't offend you. I was just having a good time. I really enjoyed my time here. And I hope you did too. Bye.